Well, hey everybody, it is Sunday again, and believe it or not, I am all caught up once again on my temperature blanket. I spent the entire day yesterday, well, not the entire day, but a very good part of my day yesterday getting everything caught up. So that's what happens when you decide to play and you get behind on things. But I can tell you, it felt like it took an eternity to get everything caught up. And after spending a couple of weeks of working on those plushies, it was really boring just going back and forth, row to row. And yeah, so especially since it's like a mindless type stitch, 2 singles and a chain, 2 singles and a chain, 2 singles and a chain. That's the kind where you can sit and watch TV and definitely just get some stuff done. But you can't watch anything interesting. You got to put on like an infomercial or something just for the background noise. Because if it's interesting, then you won't get anything done. And then it'll end up taking you a good part of the day like it did me. But this week I have 4 shares. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. For some reason, now I'm getting a ton of junk mail in my email. And when I get the pictures in from you viewers and you want to share your stuff, I try to star that email so that when I go back in to get all the information and download the picture so that I can upload it into the video, then I'm hoping that I don't miss anything. So hopefully, my apologies if I did miss you. Please send your stuff again. It wasn't intentional, but hopefully I didn't miss anybody. So first up, we have Susan, and she is in the Netherlands. She said that they're having some really hot days right now, and it's making some really bright stripes in her blanket, but it looks great. I'm seeing everybody's color combinations, and I'm like, I didn't do such a good job picking my colors. But that's okay. This was the first one. Could possibly be the last one. Especially if it is current year historical, where I can like actually work on it and not feel like I have to wait for the temperature to happen. That would be a good possibility. But hers is gorgeous. Check this out. She has bright yellows and blues and oranges, and it just looks great. Susan, thank you so much for sharing. Then we have Barbara. I forget where Barbara's at, but it's in the States because she's using Fahrenheit. So the green in her blanket is for the 70s, the high 70s. The gold is the 80s, and the reds are the 90s. So far her blanket is 70 inches wide and 57 inches long. These things turn out huge because we're only halfway through the year. But hers, again, very, very pretty. All these wonderful colors in it that, and I know the temperature dictates the sequence of the colors, but I'm liking these other blankets way better than mine. So thank you, Barbara, for sharing. Then we have Adrian, and hers is in Celsius. She is doing the Tiffany Hansen crochet along, where each month they change the stitches, and she's on to June now. And their coldest was 12, and their hottest was 32. So the coldest colors are a nice country blue, and her hottest colors are a sunshine yellow. So again, another really pretty blanket. So thank you, Adrian. And our final share, this person wants to keep her name anonymous. She is doing the first year in her new home in Ocala, Florida. And it started from January 31st, and she is through with this picture through the end of June. She's using a DK weight, a G-hook, and doing the moss stitch. And she has 13 different colors for her blanket, and she has used every single one. But look at how beautiful that this blanket is. And it's odd because Ocala's like 45 minutes from me, and the temperature differences, like I'm getting kind of solid blocks of color now, and next time I have to do a better job of assigning colors. So I tried to do it because I didn't want big chunks. I tried to do it in 5-degree increments, but I'm thinking now, since I've had 6.5 months experience with a temperature blanket now, that 10 degrees would be just fine. Those big blocks of color would be welcome, to not have to do all the color changes, although the color changes is what makes it interesting. But when it's like every row is a color change and all those ends, ugh, nobody likes working in the ends. That's the worst part about crocheting and doing big projects like that. But anyhow, so Miss Anonymous is what I'm going to call you. I think your blanket is absolutely beautiful, and I appreciate you sharing with us, and I'm sure everybody else appreciates you sharing with us as well. So now, for my blankets, we will do the birth year first. And we, of course, started a new month on this one, so we have that divider row as well to add more work to it. So we spent the last week of June in the high 80s, and then we jumped into the 90-degree marks. So going into July, we were in the high 80s and the low 90s, and we ended, well, not really ended, we kind of ended with 1 day of red. That will be our final use of red on the birth year. So let's see if I can hold this. It's getting kind of big. We go, this dark brown color is the month change. So right, 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 rows of cognac, 4 rows of, I think that's 4. 1, 2, 3 rows of rust, then the month change. Then we were back into cognac and rust. A couple of alternating days in here. A nice solid run. Oh, there came our final day of red. That was the hottest day of the year way back when. So that is the birth year. Where do you see the side-by-sides? Because once July kicked in, there's really a difference in how they look. So the birth year, I'm still attached because who knows what today will bring. And you see what color is attached? That deep red. All right, so this current year, now I had a little bit of trouble, and for some reason, Weather Underground kept saying I wasn't authorized on this server to access their website. So I had to use a different website to get my temperatures. So hopefully that didn't throw it off. And so I ended up using AccuWeather, I think, because I just couldn't get the information no matter how hard I tried. It just started raining, so if you hear a weird noise, that is, we have a metal roof. You're hearing the rain on the roof. So apologies. And it sounds like it's raining really hard. So we ended June in the low 90s, but the June 30th, boom, is when we kicked into the red color. And then we have the divider. And then we stayed in red for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. We went back into the rust to the low 90 for 2 days, into the red, into the rust, into the cognac, back into the rust for a couple of days, and then we ended through yesterday in our red colors in the high 90s. So this one, you can really see how hot it was. Hold this where I can see what I'm doing. So we ended June down here in this rust area, and there's our divider with the 1 day of red before it. Then we went to this heat wave here. The rust, the red. Oh, there's our one little cognac day where we dropped down into the high 80s, you know, ooh, cool weather. And then back into the red. So when you're looking at the temperatures, it would be interesting if you could actually do one with the feels like temperature, because on our days where it was like 97, it was saying the feels like was 110. To me, the feels like was like 1,010,010, because the humidity is just awful. This time of year, if you're the weatherman, all you have to do is say 50% chance of rain and you will never be wrong. And here, like when we first moved here, like, gosh, I want to say it's going on 12 years ago. I felt like I moved into the rainforest. Once summertime hit, it rained every day, all day. It was depressing, especially since, you know, Jenna and I were doing the homeschool and we couldn't do anything. We had summer break and we were stuck at home. So we ended up fidgeting around with the school year and doing it so that our time off started before the rainy season got here, which it made that much nicer. We're doing school when it's raining and having fun when it's not. So that is one of the nice things about homeschooling. Other than being a teacher is not easy. Big, mad respect for school teachers. Especially here in Florida with all the crap they're going through. So, that is my big, long-awaited 3-week temperature blanket update. Now I can go back to playing again. So, actually, no, I have a major project. This, my craft room, which also doubles as a guest room, which I never have any guests. So, it's almost pointless to have it as a guest room. So right now I'm sitting on this day bed, and if this wasn't here, I would have so much space and be able to do this a little better. But we have it just in case. Sometimes the kids do come up in to visit, and rather than putting them on an air mattress on the floor, which you can deflate and put away and get out of the way and still have all your space, I wanted to do this room like a guest room. And then, just like me, I changed my mind and I'm like, oh, I want it to be a craft room. Because off to the side over here is like my workspace for my buttons. And I have a lot of shelving in there, but every bit of that shelving, because of the way the shelving is built, is taken up by all the things that I need for my button business. And that would be the perfect space for a craft room. And if things keep going the way they're going, there may not be a button business anymore. It's not doing too hot. I mean, I had a nice, 12, 13 year run with that. Did very, very well with it. But since the pandemic, and there's still supply chain issues, like, I used to say that if you placed an order with me, I was going to be able to ship your order in 1 to 3 business days. Now with the pandemic and their supposed supply chain issues, now how long has this been? You would think this would be finished, but the company that I get the button parts from, they pay people to put the pins inside the back of the button. Well, during the pandemic, you know, there weren't gatherings and things like that, so they had to let go of they call them pinners. And it was a lot of like elderly couples that just trying to subsidize their income. Like, you would go to their place and pick up the parts, take it home, do it at your leisure. You got paid so much per 1,000 that you put the pins in, depending on the size of the button. Well, if you want to stay in business, you have to order these and put the pins in yourself. Well, that slows the process down. So I had to change my ship time or processing time. And so between people not gathering, between the inflation in the economy, and between the supply chain issue and how much time it takes me now to not only get the supplies in, but that I have to put those pins in myself, I had to extend my processing time just to CYA. And that has like really bottomed out my business. Where, you know, 3 years ago, well, that would have been 2020. Gosh, it's been that long already. All right, let's say 2019. In the spring, I would be making a couple $1,000s a week. I'd be working my ass off, but I was making a couple $1,000s a week. And in the slow times of the year, I was making $600 or $700 a week. Now that's total sales. That's not taking out all my expenses or anything. That's not happening right now. I'm doing worse than my slow times of the year because of all the changes with all the different things that have happened. And I don't know that it'll go back to normal or not. So in a way, I mind, because of course, you know, we all need the money and we got to live, but it also frees up my time, because it used to be that's all I did. My entire life was about making these pin back buttons, and I didn't have time to do anything. I'd get invited to go somewhere. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I can't. I got 22 orders to make. And because I was pushing myself with that very short processing time, I had to make it. There was no, oh, let me take today off. I can get caught up in the next couple of days. So that's the nice part about extending my processing time, is I'm not killing myself. But there's not a whole lot of extra going on right now. So with that extended processing time and the slowdown of my sales there, it gives me more time to play and do my crochet and like spend that couple of weeks just playing around making those plushies. So now I'm going to bid you farewell. I'm going to make my couple of orders that I do have, and then I'm going to start rearranging in here again to see. I'm starting to feel cluttered, to see if I can't get this straightened out. Yeah, so I'm going to see if I can't get this straightened out, and we will see you in the next video, and that could be this one right here.